In this exercise, we're going to ingest data from a MySQL database from a table containing information about customers and get it into a topic in Kafka. Before we ingest the data into Kafka from the database, check that the database has been set up with the data correctly. And that was the thing we covered in exercise 1. Now, from the topics page here in Confluent Cloud, we're going to create a new topic into which the customer data will be written. And we want to use the topic name specified, please, and make sure that we've got 6 partitions there. That matters. We want to override one of the settings. So click Customize Settings and set the cleanup policy to compact. And the reason for this is because this topic holds entity data. Customers are entities. They're things. Yes, they go through developmental processes and their state changes and their names change and their whole views of the world can change. You know, we might see a few fields change, but they're entities, and entities generally are in topics that are compacted topics. So click on Save and Create, then head over to Connect and look for the MySQL CDC connector. Make sure it's the MySQL CDC source connector and not MySQL source. Naming things is hard, and you want to see CDC in the middle there. So click on the connector. That brings us to the config page, and you're going to use the same API details as you did for the DataGen connector. If you've lost those, I advised in that exercise to set them somewhere safe so you could use them in the future. If you've lost them, you can create a new one. There is, for the record, a ceiling on how many API keys you can create in any given cluster, and that varies with time. You know, your mileage may vary depending upon when you're watching this, but you don't want to just always create a new one. Try to be a little bit parsimonious with those API keys if you can. So enter the database's connection details. Make sure the database can accept inbound connections from the internet, otherwise this isn't going to work. The database server name is an arbitrary label, but it's used in the topic's name, so if you deviate from this, you'll need to amend the name of the topic that you created above when I told you to make sure you use this name. So just do as shown here. Your details are going to be different than what you see here, particularly the host name, obviously. But enter those details that correspond to the MySQL instance that you've got, maybe an RDS like we showed. Enter the name of the table to create, some more config details, and click Next. And at this point, it's going to check connectivity to your database. It's possible to get things wrong at this point, so if it doesn't work, go back and check through all the details. Credentials, database name, host name, all that stuff can potentially be wrong. This is an integration exercise, so mistakes are common. You also might try to find some way of checking independently of Connect that database is accessible from the internet. So maybe if you've got like a local MySQL command line tools installed, you could try connecting to it using the credentials and the host name. And if that works, then you've ruled that problem out. Go through that kind of process. Review the JSON config against which you've entered in the web UI, then click Launch. And just like with the data generator connector, you have to wait for it to provision, which can take a minute or two. But once it's running, you'll get the telltale running status shown, and we can move on. So with the connector running, let's move to the topics page. Find the customers topic and click on it through to the messages display, and it will be empty, which is disconcerting because the data's already been ingested by this point. There are no new messages arriving, so there's no new thing to display. By default, messages is going to look at only the newest data and not rewind to the beginning of the topic. To view the data that's already there, click the Offset menu and enter an offset. I recommend 0, and select a partition. I'm also going to recommend 0. You should then see the data that's come in from the database. Just like in the previous exercise, it looks a little weird because of the way that serialization is displayed, but that's just a UI thing. So there we go. We have successfully configured a CDC connector to get data into Kafka from a MySQL instance.